As we kindly ingregate.
If you know you are here last week, I want to notice your presence. Okay. Hello.
Yeah, we're with you.
Okay, good. Okay, yeah. I can see your hand. Yeah, so the next person. What is wrong here? Okay. So I can see Tolulope. Oluwaseun. Were you here on mute? Were you here last week? I know Google Tunes was here.
No, this is my first time joining this. I'm just an observer, actually.
Oh, this is your first time
joining this training, so I'm just an observer.
He's one of our mentors.
Oh,
so he's just gracing our meeting for us.
So sorry, Ogasa.
So that's why I said I'm observing.
Ogasa, so sorry.
No, there's no problem, sir.
Okay, Victor Ayodeji. The reason why I'm saying this is I don't want our efforts to be in vain. So
yeah.
I want to make sure that everybody participates as we are supposed to. Some of us know these things now. Before now, we are simply looking for a platform to pass the information down to you. Then you take it up from there. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen now. Please indicate when you can see.
We can see your screen now. Your screen is up.
Good. So this is what we've been using to learn for the past 2 weeks now. This is the file we are going to, or we are still using to learn. So we'll master the fundamentals of the two most important tools in web development, namely HTML and CSS. And if you remember, last week we left off on internal CSS. And I said that this week we are going to start our project, which is going to be live. You know, we design a live website, a mini website. The essence of it is to show you the workability or the practicality of what we've done. But that's a serious thing, because I was thinking about it this afternoon. I said to myself, I need to make sure, first of all, in as much as we don't have time, I need to make sure that you grasp the concepts, basic concepts of this particular tool. So that's why I'm asking the question I'm asking. And I'm seeing 7 people on this platform, aside the admin and the mentor that is here. So it means that we'll have less than 5 people here. Last week we had 9. Admin, did you reach out to them to know why they are not here?
No. I will be very sincere. No.
Okay, because we are putting in a lot of efforts to make this happen. So as an instructor, I wouldn't be happy if some of them are not here. Oh boy.
So Charles, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I tried to attend to a distracting call, but it's okay.
Okay, sir.
Hello, George. I'm in a class. Okay, hello.
Yeah, we are with you.
We can hear you.
All right. Okay. Right. Well, we don't have any other option than to proceed. The students here, I want to be very sure. Good Tools is here. Tolulope is here. Akinshola is here. Akinshola, are you there?
Yes. Good
Please
evening,
answer me
sir.
if you are there.
I'm here.
Good evening.
Yes.
Okay,
Akishola is
Ayodeji, are
answering
you
you.
there?
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Good evening. Good evening. Ayodeji, are you there? Victor. Victor Ayodeji, are you there? Okay. Oluwaseun, are you there?
I can't see Victor here.
Okay. Oluwaseun, are you there?
Yes.
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, Oluwaseun. Okay, now Daniel just entered. Okay. All right. So, yeah. So last week we left off at the internal CSS. And then let's make a quick review of what we did, because after this class and after our project, which will probably start today and end off by next week, we are going to, that same week, we cannot carry it over. We are going to do Bootstrap. We're going to look at Bootstrap, because after next week, the coming week, we are entering straight into JavaScript and associated libraries like jQuery. So jQuery is what we are going to treat after we've done JavaScript, because we use JavaScript to lay a foundation. Some people may want to teach jQuery before JavaScript, but that's wrong. So for my opinion, that's wrong, because jQuery is simply a library of JavaScript. So understanding JavaScript gives you a firm understanding of jQuery, which is just a tool to make JavaScript easier to write. Although, when we are doing Bootstrap, we are going to encounter jQuery or some snippets of JavaScript in Bootstrap, yes. But that notwithstanding, we are going to do it as a course just in one day. So I want to tell you what to expect. So so that we can meet up, because we're going to spend some time in JavaScript, and then we do our project and probably finalize this particular section. So I want you to pay close attention. I gave us assignment last week. What was the assignment I gave us last week? Oluwaseun, can you tell me what was the assignment? And what did you do?
So, like I said, I'm just observing. I'm not one of the students here. Hello, can you hear me? Can anybody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I said I'm just an observer here. I'm not one of the students here.
No, I mean Oluwaseun. I don't mean oh. Okay, sorry. I mean good to sorry. Sorry, I'm not seeing you as I can hear you. I understand that. Okay. Hello, Oluwaseun. Hello, can somebody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You mean Oluwaseun?
Okay, Oluwaseun, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. There's somebody I'm mistaking you for. I'm still
all right.
mistaking you for that person.
There's
And
no
I
problem.
think I think it's a lady, and I think she bears a closer name also. Okay, so that's fine. I just want to carry everybody along, but your response is not that encouraging. So good tunes. What was the assignment I gave us last week? Oh God. Good tunes, are you there?
Yeah, we are here.
So what?
Okay, you asked us to read up the CSS 3 schools, something like that. W3 schools, to get the HTML, the CSS, and possibly look into the JavaScript of what we discussed.
I did not mention JavaScript last week. Oh. That will not be fair.
Well, you just asked us to read
that will
up
not be fair.
The whole thing on that.
No, I say no. See, when an instruction comes forth, you follow the instruction specifically the way it came, because in programming we don't teach, we instruct. Now, I cannot tell you to read the whole stuff there in W3 school. It's not. I can't give you such a Herculean task to do. I said, look at what we've done so far. Go to W3 schools, read up about HTML and the possible many tags that you are going to see there. Then it is your duty, when we've done a particular thing, it's your responsibility to go check, because the internet is your friend. Google is your best companion. In fact, that will be your best tool. You go there, you search to know whether what this teaching you is true. Now, I gave you level though. You see, a friend gave me an advice years back. He said, Charles, whatsoever problem you are trying to solve, go online. Someone else had that problem and solved it. That particular advice changed me. That was about 7 years now. Okay, so because it is a fertile effort for us to make this time train and then give you such a level of responsibility without knowing whether you are making any progress. Because in programming, you learn by doing. Not to waste so much time on that right now. I'm going to review what last week. Then we take it up from here to a point where we can say we have successfully concluded this session now, as in today. Then we map out what our mini project is going to be. Then we take it off from there. But it's my responsibility to also know that you are following, because following, in fact, what I'm telling you right now is much, much important than sitting behind my system, type out codes and you see, and you get excited. It does not make sense, because we most of us here we go to church, and the Bible says, blessed is the one that hears the word, but happy is the one that does them. Blessed are you when you do. Okay, so I don't mean to cajole anybody, but it's very, very important that after we've done, you have a whole 7 days to review what has been done, reproduce it, rewrite the codes, change things, you break things. It's okay. All right.
Thank you, Mr.
So, oh boy. Can they hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, I heard a lady's voice now.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
When you said good tools, if you observe, the response initially was, we are here. So good tools, they are 2 in 1.
Okay. I see that. All right.
All right.
Good. So let's. So last week we CSS. Internal CSS is what we can actually see on the screen. What we can actually see on the screen there from line 6. From line 6 to, let me move down to line 34. We talked about the inline CSS. The inline CSS is what we have. I remember posting this file on the WhatsApp group, so you should have it. Inline CSS is what we have on line 46. On line 46, described. These people coming into this class right now, our class starts by 8. Even if I'm not there, we are supposed to be there by 8. Is where we defined the inline CSS, and we said that the inline CSS element in question, the element, a single element per time. Some people call them tags. You can interchangeably use them. Okay, the tag is. Can you see line 38? Can we see line 38, please?
Yes, we can see line 38.
The line 38 there is opening and closing tag, the nav tag. But when you add things, when you add content, when you add content in between the tags, it becomes an element. That's what differentiates them. It becomes an element. So we are saying the line CSS affects only the elements in question, like on line 46. Now, there is a rule in CSS, and that rule is made up of 3 parts. You have the selector, you have the property, and you must have at your fingertips. In CSS, a CSS rule is defined as having 3 parts: the selector, the property, and the value. But if you look at line 46, it seems that we only have property and the value. Yes, it's because the selector is already the element or the tag in question. They use the style attributes to add property and value to the tag. Now, if you look, 3 people raise their hands. Okay, you can bring down your hand, so we've passed that level. Your hand will be paining you by now. Okay.
I think Ojo wants to ask question because
okay, please go ahead. Go ahead, please. Ojo, you want to ask the question? Admin, is Ojo there? Confirm if he wants to ask the question. If not, let me move on. Hello?
Yeah, I lower his hand. I'm not hearing from him. He's not muted, and then he's not saying anything. I don't know if he's having an audio. If he's having issue, you can please chat in. Let's know. That's Ojo. Thank you.
Well, let's move on. So if you have a question, you document it. After the class, there will be chance for you to ask your question. But we are rounding up these 2 topics tonight. We should be saying another thing as from next week. So ask your questions as it relates to CSS this night. All right. So the full definition in CSS comes into play when we write the internal CSS. You know, I said there are 3 CSS to your HTML documents. First, inline, external. First is inline, second, internal, third, external. We've done inline, we've done internal. We are going to do external now. Now, if you look at line 12 to line 17, notice a code, a rule. Let me put it that way. A rule. Now, that rule contains a selector, which is H4 in this case. Remember, I said there are 3 types of selector. There are more than 3. You have the ID selector, you have the tag selector, I have the class selector. These are the 3 we chose to look at in this class. Now, the one we have on line 12 is an example of a tag selector, because the principle of document object model, in that principle, the HTML document is built like a tree. It's built like a tree. There are nodes, what we call nodes, N-O-D-E, nodes or nodes. These nodes form entry points into the document. In other words, how do we enter these documents and change things? How do we alter the structure of this document? Are you with me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Good. Design a web page using HTML alone, it does not look at all. But how do we use CSS? How do we? That is where the idea of selectors comes in. We select the particular element we want to alter. We alter the default appearance or position of that particular tag, you know. Now, because the tag selector has a limitation in the sense that we want to alter some H4s. We don't want to alter some H4s. We want to alter some paragraphs in some ways. We don't want to alter some paragraphs in some ways. So we have to be deliberate in choosing the ones we want to alter and the ones we don't want to alter. That's where class selectors and ID selectors comes in. But I went on to share with us that there's a difference between class selectors and ID selectors, and that before you add a class, somebody's entering. Techno is entering. We are going to have Techno this night. I've not seen this person. So before you use class selector and ID selector, you must include the class and ID as an attribute to the elements you want to style. For example, you look at line 45 and line 44. You notice where we say class heading, line 45, ID heading 2. So class and ID are a kind of attributes we introduce on the element we want to style. Please, I want to be very sure that you understand, because we are not going to treat this again. Do you understand? They are keeping me quiet. Do you understand? Admin, can you answer for them?
Yes, kind of. I would like to say, for me, I don't know if Mr. Tolu would like to say something, but as you are telling us this, I think it will be fine if you take us to the page where we can see the application of this in the real sense.
Yeah, we did that a lot last week, and we're going to do it now. We did that a lot. We use CSS to style these things. Then we did it. So I'm doing a kind of review. We are going to the page now, and then I want to know that everyone has a good understanding. Then at the end of the day, we are going to do a live project where I will build a mini website in their presence while they watch. Okay, but now we are applying the styles here and there, change color, change this, and change that. So we are getting to that. But I'm particular about understanding the technicality of what we are trying to say, the technicality. So any question at this junction before we move on? Hello?
Let's ask our questions. If you have questions, you can go ahead, please.
I have a lot to cover. Please go ahead. Ask me a question. At this point, I believe. Okay, so
okay, Alawale has his up. He can go ahead and ask his question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, please, I would like you to kindly, repeat that external, styling that you just talked about. I think I missed your
Okay.
understand the line and the internal system. I'd like to express my understanding of the external.
Okay. Were you here last week?
I was around.
Okay,
The
good.
voice is going down, Olawale. I don't know if it's from my end.
I heard him though.
Okay.
So any other question, please? Any other question? Let me take them one after the other. Okay. In the absence of none, let me go back a little bit. Though I've tried to repeat that, but let me, for your sake, Olawale, let me see the name. So sorry, please. Okay, that is Mr. Okupe, right? Sorry, I may not pronounce your name very well, but that CSS means from. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen, sir.
Okay, it's good. First of all, is cascading style sheet. That's what it means. It is cascading in nature. It moves from top down. That's what cascading means. It moves from up to down. Please mute your mic, whosoever. Their voice noises are at the environment. So cascading is the CSS is the presentational layer of the progressive enhancement. I say there are three. You have the structure, you have the structure, the presentation, and you have the behavior. Now, there are three ways to add CSS to your HTML, the document. There are three main ways. Now, first is called the inline. The inline simply means add CSS to become part of an HTML tag. Make CSS a part of that tag, and that CSS will style only that tag. Look at line 46, and let's see the way it appears on browser. Now, on browser, focus on looking for this is heading. Just focus on looking for what you are seeing on line 46. Remember, the color is purple, the font size is 50, text align is center, text transform is uppercase, text decoration is underlined. So look out for these properties while we go to the browser to see. So can you see the screen? Can you see the screen?
Yes, this is heading 3.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, the person that asked me this question, can you see the screen? Good. Now, that is the function. That is the function of what we did on inline CSS last week on line 46. You will notice that this particular style is peculiar to what we have on line 46. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Oh?
Yes, I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay, good. Right. So that's it. Now that is for the inline CSS. Okay. Hello?
Yes, you can, I can hear you. So
Good.
Yes, sir.
Very, very good. So now I've repeated it over and over again, and I expect it to stick by now. We did the practical last week, and we're going to do some other ones right now. But that is the way the inline CSS works. If you notice, now let me change things. Exactly. Write it down so it will not leave you. We're going to do what is called hexadecimal CSS color codes. Okay. So that's now online 47 color, we change it to red. Let's reduce this to, let's transform it to capitalize. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. So you notice we've done some changes on the CSS inline style. So let's reload this page. Is there any change that you see now?
Yes. There are changes. The color, underline,
Okay.
and then the
Now,
position.
there are changes. Exactly, because we've stated those rules. Color, red. Change the color to red. Reduce the font size to 40 pixels. Just give it a peculiar thing about inline CSS is that it affects only that particular element. It affects only that particular the element you want to style. Now, yes, I'm listening.
Nobody's saying anything.
Okay, now that's one. The second way of adding CSS is what is called the internal CSS, where we write CSS within the style tag. Tag is a part of, or it's one of the tags that we have in HTML. As you can see on line 6, it has an attribute type. I've explained over and over again what an attribute is. It extends the functionality of a tag. So by default, the style tag have what is called type attributes, which is saying this particular tag is responsible for accommodating just CSS. Now, when you start dealing with internal or external CSS, now the rule, this definition of CSS rules comes into play. It comes into play. What? Look at line 12 to line 17. You notice we have different parts of the CSS rule. First is H4. That H4, I said, it stands for tag selector. how we select the tag or the element we want to style. Now, if you come down to this document before us here, you notice from line 48 to line 51, we have H4s. We have H4s. What it means is that when we run the code on line 12, or when we run this, or, when we load this on the browser, what we are seeing on line 12 to line 17 will affect all the H4s, because you have given it an instruction for H4, change the size to 30, change the alignment to blah, 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 and all that. Okay, so whenever it sees H4, is going to do the same. That's why we said that we have the tag selector, we have the selector, the property, which is the font size, the one that you see on the left-hand side, font size, text align, text transform, color, blah, blah, blah. They are all what we call property. Their value is the actual appearance. That, Mr. Okupe, is that clear? Hello?
Mr. Olawale.
Admin, can you hear me?
Is that
Mr.
okay?
Olawale, sorry.
Yeah, Olawale Okupe. Okay, he said it's clear.
Good. Now, the one we are going to do right now is called the external CSS. Take us time, because the same principle applies. It's just that it is written externally. Now, if you remember what I talked about, my own is so populated, so don't use mine as a benchmark. My folder is very populated. Yours may not be as populated as mine, because it has a lot of things here. So, but the point is this: when we added image to this document here, I explained something. I think we did that. I explained exactly. I can't see. Okay. Can you all see line 79?
Yes.
Okay. Now I made mention of something that when you are adding another file, say image, CSS, JavaScript, to your web page, you should include them and separate them as a folder, within your root folder. That is, you create a folder within my own folder. My root folder is Web Pro class. So I can create, or I should create, another folder called images within my root folder. And if I'm adding external CSS to my web page, I should also create a folder within my root folder and call it CSS. The reason for this is what we call separation of concerns. Hello? You can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
It's called separation of concerns. It's very, very important to have a CSS folder here. Within, if you look at my bar or the 5-part bar, you see Web Pro class. That means this folder is actually the Web Pro class. Image folder is here, where the images we used for our image example on the web page. That is JavaScript, where my mouse is. Now, you create a folder called S within your root folder. And within, okay, I'm going to delete this. Okay, I will not delete it because I have something to do with it. I'm going to save my file, this external CSS file, inside this folder called CSS. Remember, we are looking at how to create external or add CSS in an external way, or using external approach to add CSS to our HTML documents. So I said the first thing is to create a folder within the root folder, name it CSS, so that you don't model things up or confuse yourself there. Then within that folder, create a file, call it style. Maybe I'll have to delete it. So open your own and create a file by going to new file, name it, and save it as CSS file inside your root folder. Let me open this and see how I can give you an example. Okay. Okay. Can you also see my screen?
Yes.
So this is what I did, maybe for someone, I don't know. But I'm going to delete all this. I can't even remember. I'm going to delete all this. And I'm going to rename this. Oh, this is even style 1. I want style. I want style. Because you are going to name your own style.css. I want this. Good. So this should go. H1. Okay, we can still use this. Now, create that folder, create a file, name it style.css. Then save it to file, new file, go to save as. Click on save as. You are within that folder you have created. Call this style 2. In my own case, but in your own case, call it style.css. CSS. Then you can say all files, or you can choose the particular file you are looking for or you want to save. That is CSS. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
So click on the CSS file extension and click on save. That is how to save your CSS file. The participants, I want to be sure you are following what I'm doing here. Please respond.
Yes, sir, we are following. Yes, sir, we are.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. So change your save yours as style.css and let's proceed. Now let me use this, what I've written down, because it resonates with what we've done in the previous class. Okay. We have some paragraphs here. Okay. Okay. So, but you see, this style.css is in a separate folder. It's in a separate folder. How do we connect it to the HTML documents? This style.css is in a separate folder. How do we connect it? How do we connect it to the HTML documents? By using a special tag within the head parts of the HTML document. Works. Within your head tag on line 4. Link. Can you all see? Can you see line 4?
Yes, we can see line 4.
Good. So what we have there is a very special self-closing tag. I told us that most of the tags we are going to be seeing within the head tag, they are very powerful tags, and most of them are self-closing. They determine what happens on the web page or on the HTML documents. They determine it. The search engine optimization, the title of the website, where the internal CSS is. What you see in the head tag does not appear actually on the body of the web page, but they determine how they appear. They determine how search engines indexes your site. As we advance, we are going to see all that in practicality. Now, let me explain line 4. The link tag is a self-closing tag for adding SCSS, external CSS, to your web documents. External CSS to your web documents. Now, the attributes there, because it has 3 attributes. It has the href, it has the type, it has the rel or the rel. The rel attribute that simply means relationship. Relationship. It's trying to say that the relationship between this external CSS and the document is just a style sheet. Just a style sheet. It's saying, I'm simply here to style whatsoever you want to do on this page. I already have a link. I'm getting my source from somewhere. But my mission here is to apply styling to whatever you are doing. That's the statement that REL is trying to make. Then, of course, on type, the nature, my nature is CSS, text/CSS. You can do without the type attribute though. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean your code can still work well. Then the href, as I said previously, it stands for hypertext reference. That simply means where the style is within your root folder, or what we call CDN, content delivery network. You know, your file can be hosted on a local machine. Your CSS file can be within your root folder. It can be anywhere on your machine. It can be hosted on another server elsewhere. It can be hosted on another server elsewhere, as we are going to see in Bootstrap. Okay. Now, when it's hosted in another server elsewhere, we use what is called CDN, Content Delivery Network, to fetch it. But in this case, this particular file we are looking for resides within a folder in your root folder. What you do, you simply say CSS/style.css. At this junction, do you have any question?
Please do that again, sir.
I should do what again? Sorry.
Hypertext reference.
The part you just explained, I didn't get it very well.
Okay, so I'll be glad to repeat myself. So let me reference, which is a pointer to the external CSS you want to bring into your HTML file. The hypertext reference points you to that external. Remember, we're talking about external CSS. And when you become a web developer, you will deal more with external CSS. Yes, in fact, the bulk of the CSS you are going to be writing will be external, unless there is a very short thing you want to adjust on a particular web page. Okay, if not, bulk of your is called separation of concern, because your page or your codes should not become a spaghetti spaghetti code. We mean that things can get confusing. Things can get confusing. So I have to explain that. So the href attributes point you to where that external
please, the line is breaking. The network is breaking.
And in this case, the external file of CSS we want to write is within your root folder called CSS. And inside that folder, we have to specify that field so that the document on index. Okay, is this still breaking now?
It's better now.
Okay, is the line still breaking now?
No, it's okay. It's okay now.
Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. The lady that asked me a question, what's your name?
Miracle.
Okay, Miracle, do you understand what I just explained?
Yes.
It's simply leave all the grammar. It's simply pointing to where the file is so that you can use it. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Good. So the file that wants to style this particular page, you see, the beauty of the external CSS is that with that same file, that singular file, you can apply the rule or the CSS rule to many HTML documents. You write once and carry it over in different pages, about page and all that with one file. Yes. So this file is located in a folder called CSS. Why is my internet getting unstable here? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So CSS/style.css, which is simply the file we have here. Is that clear? Miracle, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Okay.
And so we have successfully linked the style.css file to our index.html elements. Now let us look at this. Let us we have an element, paragraph element on line 56. We say this is a paragraph. I don't think we applied any styling to it. I don't think so. So let us look at that on the web page and look for it. Okay, can you all see this is a paragraph? Can you all see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, only you is responding. I hope every other person is they are listening, Sha.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. I'm hearing just 2 verses. It's okay. So, but on this side of CSS, we are seeing on line 1 let me copy all these codes from line 13 to line 34. Let me actually cut them. In fact, let me remove this. And I remove them and save and go back to our page. Let's see what happens. Do you notice that everything comes back to normal, except the ones that are styled on the external CSS? But I would like to remove everything so that you get what we're trying to say. Okay. Something is still styling it. Where is that? Did I save that? Okay. That is on line 19. 19 where we have, let me remove it. I want everything to be clear. Good. You notice that everything has gone back to not normal, right? Please respond.
Yes, yes.
Good. Now let me show you that what is on the internal CSS can work the same when it is inside the external file. It's just the same thing. Save it. Do you notice the changes? Now, yes, I would like to ask whosoever that answer me, why is it possible? What made the styling on this page possible? What made, although we've removed all the internal CSS within this file, what still made the styling of the page?
That is on line 4. On line 4, you have reference style.css.
Who is answering me?
Admin.
No, admin, it's not you now. Bros, the way you answered self told me that you are not supposed, this is not the person I'm looking for. The participants, I want them to respond, please.
Okay, sir. Based on what you said once the external style is added to the heading, to the head, then the effect will play out in the whole of the HTML.
Okay, so how do you add it from what you are seeing? You see, the admin used a very professional language now, which you did not hear. When I heard it, I said, no, this person is not. You see, that is the mentor or the admin. So, in your own language, how do you add this? Looking at line 4.
Okay, I don't know how well to answer the question, but at least from the beginning, you created the desktop folder inside the main root folder before linking it in line 4 in between the head. I don't know if I'm correct.
You are very correct. You are very correct here. There are two main attributes that must be present in the link tag. That is the rel and the href, or the real, whatever you want to pronounce it. But make sure that the two attributes are, of course, you can't make that mistake of not having them because your editor will populate it. But it's important for you to know how they work. Mr. Olawale, are you still there?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay. Do you understand what we just explained on line 4?
Yes, I did. I do.
You do. Okay. Okay. So, any questions so far before we proceed?
Adepoju is raising up his or her hand.
Yeah, Adepoju, I can see your hand. Please ask your question.
Yes, sir. The only challenge I am having is the file, the CSS style file you created. You've created it. What is the content of that CSS file that you created? Because you created it, it's like there is something there. There are some commands there already.
Okay, they are not commands.
I am finding it.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm finding it difficult. I'm finding it difficult to the CSS style.css that you created. What are the content there?
Okay, so the content you see there, they are the content I had there before. So when you create your own, this is what you are going to have. There is no content. Is that clear? Adepoju. Hello. Can you hear me?
Adepoju, you are muted. Can you unmute yourself?
Unmute and listen and talk to me.
Oh, sorry. I'm getting you, sir.
Okay. I say when you create your file, normally this is what you are going to have. It's actually a blank file.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Then you start adding, your codes, remembering all your CSS rules, remembering the class selector, the tag selector, and the ID selector. For example, what I told you about CSS comes into play. I'm repeating it again. What I said about CSS comes into play. A rule is made up of selector, property, and a value. I wouldn't want to, let me just go back to what we had there before. So this was what you saw, right?
Yes.
They were the things maybe I was teaching someone. So, but normally you have a blank file. So on line 1, we have the paragraph. That simply means we are targeting the paragraphs, which you can find on line 27, line 25, line 27. I think I have it in another place. Oh, okay. Just on line 27. Now, if we go to the browser to check, we load. You notice that we have 2 changes. Okay, we have some changes. Line 27 is what you are seeing here.
Yes.
Now let us look at the CSS that turned it into this. Now, this is the selector. It means wherever it sees paragraph, apply the text aligning to be center. Increase the font size to 40 pixels. The text transform to uppercase, color to red. Okay, the same thing applies here on line 8 to line 13, from line 17 to line 22. If you watch, I'm using a particular CSS rule, property and value, to teach this so that we move from simple to complex. But you need to understand this first of all, so that when I start writing the code for your project, it does not come to you as bizarre. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. I understand.
Good. So, and I said that the other selector, this is a way to write comments in CSS too. I think I've said that before. This is a way to write comments in. So this is class selector. Oh, sorry. Class selector. So when you write this kind of thing in CSS, the browser neglects it. It's a comment. And I said the other time, as in internal CSS, you write your class selector, you write your class selector with a dot notation, a dot notation, and then you specify the class. In this case, our class is heading. Our class is heading. Heading. Can everyone see line 27?
Yes.
Hello, admin. Can you help me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. So now there is something very important I talked about last week. I need to solidify it again. The class selector can be used multiple times in a document, but the ID selector cannot. The ID selector is unique, can be used one per time, per the tag. For example, if we look at our document on line 17, you see H2 ID attribute equals to heading 2. It means that this heading 2 cannot be used elsewhere, in these documents because it is unique. You cannot go down to any other paragraph or list or anchor and say ID heading 2. No, it will not work. But you can use class selector multiple times so that the style that applies to one can apply to all. Like you see on line 16 and on line 24. Now, we can also apply this class to different tags because on line we have the H1 tag. On line 24, we have the H5 tag. But on line 27, we have the P tag. We can also apply this selector to the paragraph. Do you understand? Admin, do they understand?
They should.
He said they should. Okay. Let us hope.
Good tunes. You want to say something?
Please, I want to hear from them. I want to know that the people I'm teaching, they understand. I don't want they should.
Well, not so clear, sir. The class.
What is not clear? Good. That's why I know you do not understand. So it's not a problem. I will explain as many times as I can. So and then just pay, your own is just to pay attention and ask sincere questions when you don't understand. Okay? I promise you by next week it will be a breeze. You will have a clear. So far, you promise me if after talking for 2 hours, you promise me you will go home and study this. There is no other magical study. The admin has made this point severally. Study, practice makes perfect in programming. And this is the least complex of what you are going to learn here. By the time we get into programming, you will understand why you are here. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
I don't mean to scare you, but that is just the simple truth. By the time we go into programming, you will understand, you will know why you are here. Okay?
Okay. Yes, sir.
So ask questions when you don't understand. Good. So to answer your question, the class attributes is the function of the class attributes is to help extend the styling of CSS to the HTML documents. The reason for this is because of the limitation of using tag selector. Let me give you an example. Let me show you something. This is H4. Apply this same class to H4. Now, let me change this. Let me change this to H4. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Good. And I believe any other person can see it. Now, if you look at line 21, you will notice that I've added a class attribute there. I called it heading. As a matter of fact, you can name your class or ID anything you want. So far, it's descriptive. It's important. I remember when I was building a web application 5 years ago, that was 2017. So I was naming my class anything I wanted. In fact, I named some John. I remember the one I named John. John Eba. Granite. I don't know what inspired me 5 years ago. I was doing that. Later, I needed to adjust the code. I came back after 3 months. I did not understand anything that I did there. So the essence of adding a class that points to the essence of the elements and using comments to comment what you should remember is, what is this notification? Is for tomorrow, for maintenance, and for handover. So we added the same class from H5 to H4. Now, look at this page. If you look at this page, you will notice that all the H4s have been what? They have been applied, they have been styled. All the H4s have been styled according to what we have here. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Good. All the H4s have been styled because we mentioned this. But let us write this code. Remember, CSS is cascading in nature. CSS is cascading in nature, which means it's process, right? Processes from top to down. It's cascading because it processes from top to down. It means that the code below a particular block of code overrides the one that is on top. It means that if you write H1 and write H4, any conflicting code, the one below overrides the one on top. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Very, very good. Now I'm taking my time to explain some very powerful principles. Now, because we specify this rule here from line 17 to line 22, we declared a selector, which is H4. We declared a property with the corresponding value and all have view from 18 to 21. It means that the browser is going to apply this rule whenever it sees H4. Now, that is the limitation of a tag selector. For us to overcome this, we introduce ID selectors and class selectors. Now, see, watch the screen. Sorry for the stuttering. That's how we roll. I stutter when I get serious, though. Okay, so text align, let's say right. Reduce this to 20. Color, just say green. Let us say uppercase. For example, let me explain something here. When you see text transform, you see uppercase, lowercase, capitalize, and what have you. You see, the difference between uppercase and capitalize is that uppercase transforms all the text into capital letters.
Okay.
Yeah, uppercase transforms all the letters into capital letters, while capitalize transforms the first letter of all the words into capital letters. For example, save, yeah. For example, watch H4. Where did I put this heading? That's on one of the H4s. Okay, the heading is, well, what I want to demonstrate to you is actually on line 21. This is H42. So watch H42. I hope I've saved. Good. Did you see what just happened here?
Yes, sir.
It's not just H42.
Yes, it's not just H42, but to every element that have the class
heading.
Do you notice that? Good. That's a very good observation. Now, if you watch, this is H42, just watch it. You notice that all the elements with the class heading, they are uppercase. But all the ones that has H4, they are capitalized. Do you notice that?
Yes, sir.
Now, bearing the definition I gave you about, or difference I gave you between uppercase and
capitalized.
have a wide range of application. But the good thing is that, or what I want you to understand is that, what I want you to understand is that at the same time, it's actually a very powerful thing. Because when you say H2, it means all the H2s in your whole application should have the same form. And that is not too nice. I don't know if you understand what I just explained. Do you?
Yes, sir. I understand the class.
Okay. Okay, so what else?
ID.
No, sir.
Nothing for now.
What about
Yes,
the ID?
Yeah,
There's
I'm coming to
class,
that.
there's ID. Okay.
Don't
So when
worry.
she said she understood the class.
Okay. Oh, Oluwaseun, are you the one speaking?
Admin.
Admin. What of Oluwaseun? Is he still there? And I've not heard his voice.
Oluwaseun is also
The mentor.
the mentor.
Yeah, I know.
So he's not here. He left a while ago.
Oh. Okay. I don't know why he left me here alone. Okay, so that's fine. Right. The lady speaking, what's your name? Miracle, right?
Good tunes.
Oh, Good Tunes is a lady.
Goodness.
I never know.
I said earlier there are 2 in 1.
Don't mind me. I have a lot of things in my head. No verse. 2 in 1. Two in 1. So I know good. Okay, yeah, I remember. No need bothering the other one. So when one says she understands, it means he understands, right?
I can't answer.
Okay. All right. So I suppose that Olawale, are you there? Let me even see the people here.
No, he's not.
Hey, why now? Where are they going?
I think he's having network issue, or probably he's been distracted. He left and came in again, and then he left again.
Okay, Adepoju Akinshola.
Yeah, he's there.
I want to hear his voice or her voice.
His voice.
His voice.
I'm still
Adepoju,
here.
do you follow what we are doing here?
I'm here.
Do you follow what we are doing here?
Yes, I've been following, sir.
Very good. Somebody is waiting. Okay. Olawale is back.
Yes.
I suppose he's having a network problem. Okay. Miracle. Unmute.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you following what we are doing here?
Yes, I am.
Do you have any question?
None.
Sir?
Good.
Thank you.
Sir, a question, sir.
Okay. A moment. For yours, hold your
Hello?
question. Hold your question. I'm coming. Who is this person?
Okay.
Okay. Olawale, at what point did you miss?
Well, I think I don't know what I do to network. Is it that is a deliberate intentions to be logging me off? And
it can't be. I suffer it here too.
The first remains that I think I don't. I'm actually trying to use this class to recall my previous experience. I understand the part that these are basically elements that, it depends on what you want to do. At least I have knowledge of graphics. So it depends on all of these things, depends on what attributes or what character you want to give a particular features. I logged out at the point where you were talking about text transform, and from my own understanding, text can be transformed in different form. It could be uppercase. It could be what do you call it? Title case. It could be
lowercase.
Lowercase. So it depends on, most times if you want to, most times the P tags are usually in the lowercase. And the heading sometimes can be in the uppercase, depending or title case.
Okay. Yes.
So that's
okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. But you see, there's a part of web development or mobile app. I'm talking to everybody now. Somebody wants to ask a question. Please hold that. I'm coming. The part of web development or mobile app development called UX. It's a part of web development in the sense that it's used to design what is called user experience. You see, web development is very much different from graphic design, because in web development, that's why we introduce what is called progressive enhancement. You should be dynamic to do what appeals to the user. The user is the focus. The user is the focus. And that's why I tell people in my class, whenever I have opportunity to teach online, offline, that whenever you come into the class for web development, you come in blank. Because there are many things you will learn that are dynamic in working. So the reason why I said that is, in web development, you can see a situation where you change things dynamically. You see, we'll get to a level where we build applications dynamically. We don't sit down and write all the codes in one day and all that. So, but this strong foundation has to be laid. So welcome back. I joined my.
Let me come in place.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, I am quite in consonant to what you're saying, but basically, there is no what do you call it? There is no how. All right, that the of course graphics is different from web development. But what I'm trying to say in essence is that now the knowledge of graphics are taking their reflections in web development, and I can easily follow or based on, what do you call it? Based on residual knowledge of graphics, and okay. I'm sure that there's a bit difference also, but it's not an absolute difference. So okay. That's the aspect I'm just bringing out. So of okay. course, if you go to Microsoft and you're trying to change the font character, you'll see uppercase. They are just generic words.
Yes, yes, so I understand you. I understand you perfectly. I understand you perfectly.
So we are taking time to follow us, follow you accordingly. So I'm only trying to say that, from basic knowledge or residual knowledge, I understand what uppercase means. And okay. on graphics, you can have on web, you can have dimensions to it, this thing also.
Okay, that's good. I appreciate you for that. So somebody wants to ask me a question. Please go ahead.
I hope don't go there again. I'm okay with the explanation. Not at all. The question I actually want to ask is the differences between the three types of selector. But I've seen that we have tag, and that has to do with tag. We have the heading, and we have class. That has to do with class, and we have the third one. It has to do with ID. I've gotten it.
Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so among everybody here, I've not heard. Is it Tolulope? Can you unmute and talk to me, please?
Admin.
Oh, why am I always making this mistake? Oh, so sorry. All right. So now, I'm glad everybody spoke. I'm happy you are following me. So we are getting there. processes. I made a mistake on this. So we are getting there, okay? Step by step, precept upon precept, line upon line. Hello? Hello, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, good. So let's now look at let's look at again the ID selector. This is tag selector or example. This is ID selector. Right. Now, if we go to our page, if we go to our page, where did we define the ID? Okay, ID, okay, look at line 17. Can you all see, Miracle, can you see line 17? Respond. Miraculous.
Yes, sir.
Good tunes, the pair. Can you see? The two
Yes,
one.
sir.
Okay. But the male good tunes, I've not heard his voice, shall. But it's fine. All right. So okay, it's now online. Why am I giving this specific? It's now online. It's still on line 17. Good. Now, the notation for class is dot. The notation for ID is hash. You see, this thing we are teaching you. You see, let me give an example. Yesterday, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yesterday I was working on a WordPress site. WordPress. Because WordPress, most of you must have heard of WordPress, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, so WordPress is written mostly the back end, mostly in PHP. So the front end, of course, in these days, Bootstrap, but it's made up of HTML, CSS, then some JavaScript or strong JavaScript. So I was working on this particular site. I needed to change something. You see, some people call themselves web designer, but they use WordPress to do drag and drop, and that has spoiled a lot of things. You know, so I needed to change something which is not in the templates, and that is where my coding skill came to play. Okay, I simply that's what we are training you to become. So I simply went into the file, wrote custom codes to achieve what I want. You can write custom CSS, you can write PHP, you can even write JavaScript inside a closed system, though it's open source, but I can call it closed system. Inside the closed system as WordPress. So pay strong attention. Understand the notation for class and notation for ID. A lot of people confuse this. So what you see on line 36 is a way to write, to denote ID. And I've told us the difference between class and then ID. Okay, so as a matter of fact, let's give this ID, let's remove it from here. Let's remove it from here and put it on link. Let's put it on link. Let's say ID. This. Sorry. I think there's a mistake here. Yes. I got it. Can we all see line 229?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now let us see the default appearance of line 29. That is what we are seeing here. Visit Google. You can all see it, right?
Okay, yes.
Yes. So let's apply, we have applied this ID to this particular line 29, the anchor tag. Remember, this is called on line 28. You see where I defined it, anchor tag. It creates a hyperlink and URL is unified resource locator. Unified resource locator. So let's dwell on line 29. Now let's get back to our CSS file. Now let's increase the fonts. Let us increase the fonts. The font is the facial surface, the surface area of the elements. Hello, do you hear the definition now? The surface area of the elements. Because anything you see on your web page is called an element. Elements. Good. Now font size, let's increase it to 30 pixels and let's see the way it is on the browser. If we are comfortable with that. It has increased, right? You can see, right?
Yes.
Good. Let's say let's use the same rule. Let's say text align. Let's bring it to center for visibility. As we do, we check for visibility. We did not, okay, maybe we do not save something. Text align center. I hope I'm right. Yes. Okay. Okay, see where it is. Okay. Now let's say text transform. Text decoration. Let's say none. Text decoration, none. What we want to do with text decoration, let me label that. What we want to do with text decoration is to remove the default underline. The default underline that characterizes the anchor tag. The default underline that characterizes the anchor tag removes the underline. Have you not noticed?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Then you can say what other common changes can we? Let's change the color. If you watch in the color, we don't say font color. We just say, let's give it visible color. Let's say blue.
Yes.
Sorry?
I'm on phone. I'm on phone. I'm on phone. I'm doing a training online. You can go let me.
Can you see what we are doing? Hello?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay. We can still say text transform. Let's say capitalize. We can capitalize our link. Okay, it's already text to transform, though. It's already capitalized.
Yes.
Right? It's capitalized
Yes,
now.
Yes,
Good.
sir.
Good. So now, the simple point I want you to understand because of our time is that this, if you notice on line 27, all the elements that have the class selector, all the elements that have the class, the same class value, they respond to the CSS rule from line 27 to line 32. But if we add the same, let's say, let's copy this and add it here. Unless they have changed it 2 hours ago. If not, it will not work. Did it work?
Yeah, paragraph, right?
No, this is H43. This is okay. H43. It worked.
Yes, it worked. The color changes. And
but by rule, it's not supposed to work. Because by 2 rule? IDs by rule, yes.
Okay, let's go to style. Sorry, okay, what's not supposed to work?
2 IDs are not supposed to be on the same page, on the same document. 2 ID with the same value. They're not supposed to be. Now check line 29 and line 22, the same ID. I think in production, this has to throw it has to show a kind of a mistake. But by rule, IDs are not supposed to have the same value in 2 places because of their uniqueness. But here it's working here, and I have to find out why. Admin, do you understand?
Yes. Can we add can we remove the initial what's it called? This parameter that we set to null on the style, and let's see the effect.
Okay, that is text transform, text decoration.
Yeah, text decoration, yes.
Okay, let me comment it out. I don't think that property does not apply to that tag, so it's still the same thing. But if you watch on visit Google, it came back. The underlying came back.
Yes, that's just what I want to confirm, because now here we can see for H3, for H43, it's that parameter is not applicable to H3 by default.
Exactly, it's not. And well, I did not expect it to work, but it worked. So I'll find out why it worked. And in production, is there going to be an exception thrown? Will an error appear in real-time server-based, though the server does not process the front end, but we'll find out. Maybe during our project by next week, I'm going to bring this on. And then let me inspect the element. Wait, just wait. Hello, students, can you see what we are doing here?
Yes, sir.
Now, these are the things you are going to face in your everyday. Yes, okay. So don't find it weird. It's not weird. When some things happen, you want to find out why. For example, I applied text align to this same rule. It affected, this is H4, but it did not affect visit Google. Okay, and I applied text decoration none, it affected it. I applied color, it does that. It did that. I applied capitalize, it did that. So there are 2 issues here. Why did the ID in 2 places appear. Though I think I've had this kind of issue before. It may work, but does that mean it is acceptable? Okay, some school of thought may say you use it. Some school of thought may say it is not acceptable because IDs are meant to be unique. But let us inspect, because inspecting an element on the web page is a way of debugging. We call it debugging. I'm going to teach you the developer tool of Chrome. So how do you inspect? If we inspect this, and then the attribute we are seeing, or the selector that we are going to see on the console, if it is ID, then proper research, I have to do proper research again, and then report back to you next week. But this is a very powerful learning process. Is that okay?
Yes.
Good. So let us inspect this particular element and see what it gives us. Look at the right. Okay. Now, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Miracle, can you see it? I hope they are there.
You are muted, Miracle, if you are speaking behind.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if you look at the right-hand part of the browser, you will see where my mouse is hovering. You will see it. So, you will see where my mouse. I'm not going to. You see where my mouse is hovering. So the selector there is still ID headings 2. Now, if you look at the left-hand side of the browser, you will also, let me remove this so that it will be clear. To be clear. Okay. Can you see where it wrote H4 hash heading 2? Can you see it?
Yeah.
On the left-hand side of the browser.
Yes.